Morning. I'm here. So it's always a rush on a Thursday. Never get here on time. How's everybody doing? Morning, Stevie. Where should I start? We've got 4 minutes to go. Just a quick recap of the news today and news yesterday before we get going. Yesterday we had CPI for the pound and CPI for the CAD in the afternoon. Positive CAD, which was great. Didn't manage to get anything really out of it yesterday. The only CAD I've got is the Euro CAD short. So I was long CAD, which was great. But we had a stonking Euro yesterday. Euro was on a mission yesterday. So the CAD news didn't really do anything for the CAD. It's a bit of a letdown, that one. Today we've got PMIs for Europe in half an hour. I say in half an hour. We got one in 15, and then we've got the pound at 9:30. But the main one is the German, which is the main economic output for Europe. So. That's 8:30. We've got unemployment claims this afternoon for the US dollar, and we've got the PMIs for the US dollar as well. And we've got Powell testifying again this afternoon. Powell testified yesterday afternoon. The market had a little bit of volatility in the indices, but not a lot while he was talking. So highly unlikely anything will happen this afternoon. That he's not going to say anything different to yesterday, and we didn't really get any volatility much yesterday afternoon. So. And it's bank holiday in New Zealand. Not that makes any difference. So a few bits and pieces today. It's PMI day, so we should have some decent movement off the back of all of this. Morning, Jesse. Morning, ladder. I've stopped out on one position this morning on the US dollar yen. Break even on this one. So didn't get anywhere. So I took this, obviously that was the add-on position after this move, which I took off on Tuesday. I moved that one to break even basically. We didn't get any real movement yesterday. So we were flagging, so I was hoping we were just going to flag and go, but we didn't. So that took me out this morning during Asia, and it's pushing back up again now. I'm not going to add that one back on. I'm just going to let this hopefully run up. So that's all I banked this morning, nothing. Banked 0.5% yesterday, which was good, but I banked that in the morning before we got going. Do you know why he testifies over 2 days? What more can he say? It's different. The testifying thing, it's the wrong word. I don't know why they call it testifying. But basically, he's talking. So this one was it was the Senate Banking Committee in Washington. And the one today is the House of Financial Services Committee. So he's basically just saying the same thing to two different lots of people. So this is why I say it's red. But he's saying pretty much the same thing that he said yesterday, and what he said yesterday. We got a little bit of a wiggle out of it yesterday. So he was talking kind of around here-ish somewhere. You know, it didn't do anything basically. So yeah. So that's news today. Main thing is the PMIs. So we're looking for negative PMIs across the board in Europe. Hopefully, the 815 French will give us an indication. If that comes out negative, quite often we find they kind of follow each other a lot of the time. So hopefully we'll get negative figures, which will be bad for the Eurozone, and that will bring down my Euros because I'm overloaded on the Euro short. So I've got too much exposure on the Euro, I've got too much exposure on the Aussie. I was hoping overnight we were going to get some Aussie movement, we didn't. So Yeah. Anyway, so I'm overloaded basically here. I've doubled up on this position really. This euro odd that I took on yesterday, shouldn't really have taken that one on because I've got the pound odd short. It's pretty much the same thing. So this position's overloaded me. It's gone 0.5% in DD at the moment, but that's not a problem. I'm only 2% in drawdown, so it's not an issue. So yeah, so Aussie New Zealand I've got on. Market's open now, by the way. So Aussie New Zealand's flat. Haven't gone anywhere since I got into this. Literally had a bit of an up day yesterday. We pulled back down, so just no movement on the Aussie New Zealand. The Euro odd CAD in US. So Euro odd. I got 2 positions on this one. I took one and then I got in on the EA. The EA triggered me into a second position. So these are a bit too close together as well. I'm a little bit overloaded and I'm a little bit close together. Not a good start. But yeah, so that one's up nicely extended on the hourly. We're nicely extended on the 4 hourly as well, so we'll be getting a pull back on it soon. Euro CAD, again, we are hovering around these highs again. We rejected it very, very nicely on the push up yesterday. We've pushed up and rejected again. We're pushing up again at the open. So it's looking very heavy up here. Lots and lots of rejection up at these highs. We'll see what happens this morning, but again, I've got 4 positions on this one, too close together. So I'm keeping a close eye on this because I've got too much on it. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit of breathing room up to there, sort of give it 15 pips out the highs. So give them a room to come and do a liquidity run on yesterday's high this morning. And I'm going to stop out on that if it rallies today, because obviously we've got the news coming up. So if it is positive euro, we're going to get a rally. I don't want to go into drawdown on 4 positions. I'll go into drawdown on 3 on it. So that's Euro CAD. The other one is Euro US. Again, we've got no US strength, man. We're just still waiting on this US. So we had obviously the big strong move on the euro yesterday. We just came up and double topped. Took a third position on that one on the double top. We've just pulled back a little bit this morning. We've got this gap, so hopefully we'll get a push back down on that one. Pound odd and US yen. US yen I've looked at. Pound odd is pretty much the same. So I've got 3 positions on that. I'm very tight on all of these. Bit too tight. So I kind of got an extra position on at the start, which I shouldn't have. So my drawdown's a little bit higher than it should be really on these, but we'll deal with them as it moves. So that's where I am. Let's have a quick look at the indices. So yesterday, market's just open. We're in 5-minute open. Fairly decent opening range this morning. Absolutely killed it on the indices yesterday afternoon again. Just did 2.5 yesterday. Just 4.7 I've done in 2 days. I'm trying out some new software. A little bit like Boocamp, but just to give a little bit more insight, and it seems to be making everything so much clearer. But I will talk about that when I've had a little bit more time to bed in. Want to make sure it's not a couple of lucky days. Opening range is in. Not a bad opening range this morning. So direction wise, we had a bit of a flush yesterday on the US indices. So we're in this control candle at the moment on the US indices. We had that pullback and was looking for the drop yesterday, and we got the drop. But the drop happened very early, happened in the Globex market, and they pulled it all the way back up, made new highs, and then pulled it back to a doji yesterday. So indecision day yesterday. Dojis are a turning candle usually. So as you can see here, we normally get push down, indecision, push up. That's a 3-bar reversal, which is usually the sign of a reversal. Obviously a 3-bar reversal in a downtrend isn't something you take. You take 3-bar reversals in line with the trend. So today we've got the potential obviously to put in a nice red candle, which will give us our 3-bar reversal for next leg down. So we'll see what happens today. So far, very little on the US markets in the morning. There's no liquidity, as you can see. It's very light at the moment. S&P, same pattern. Dow, same pattern. FTSE's put a bearish engulfing in. FTSE's a lot weaker than all the other indexes at the moment. I'm not quite sure why. Probably to do with our inflation figures, I would imagine. But that resistance held very, very nicely. So resistance turned support turned resistance. So potentially again on FTSE more downside. I don't really trade the FTSE much, but. And DAX, we got the 3-bar reversal. So it's all looking bearish. US indices are poised for that rollover. DAX has rolled over yesterday. So it's all looking like the market feels heavy and is ready for a new leg down. But we will see what happens today. At the moment, we've pushed up. And we're just starting to reject, but there's no liquidity at the moment. Wouldn't expect a lot of liquidity this morning. Obviously, we've got 8:15 and 8:30 news, so the market's not going to dump its load before it goes, before the news. It's going to wait and then dump all the contracts when the news is out. So we'll see what happens. So going to be very the DAX is going to be very susceptible to the news this morning at 8:15 and 8:30. We've got 6-7 minutes. Might stick financial juice on just so we can hear the news as well. Just turn that up a bit. And why is Tick Strike? Can't open the Tick Strike volume.
This stream is sponsored by Tick Strike. Tick Strike allows you to actually hear order flow futures, Forex and stock instruments. Get a free trial at tickstrike.com.
Excuse me, I've turned you off. Why are you still talking? Anyway. Right. So, where are we with everything else? So, no ADRs so far today. We've got some weeklies which hit yesterday. These hit during the day, but I didn't really mention them in the group. Aussie dollar CAD is hit to the downside basically. We've got a strong CAD, weak odd, so this is hit to the downside. It's not really a long opportunity. It is a short, so not really one that was of any interest. Loads of selling coming in now. DAX selling off pretty hard ahead of that news. So we've got an opening range break to the low on the DAX. So levels to watch today are the 12,930s and sort of 12,940s, I guess. Just lows of the days. Let's see if we get down to there. Yeah, so yeah, it's 1,300 basically, pretty much. Actually, no, it's not. It's 12,950. Yesterday's low. There's only a little sell-off though. There, I didn't get any follow-through on it at the moment. We just pulled back down into this low. So I wouldn't trade any indices really until the news is out. 5 minutes to the first news. So yeah, Aussie CAD was no use really.
Eastern time with the French S&P Composite Plus PMI. 55.9 at previous 57. The French S&P
let's turn them down a little bit. Euro New Zealand is a big push to the upside. Now this is not a bad looking short. Euro's obviously very strong at the moment. We've got some strength showing. We've got a very weak New Zealand dollar and a pretty weak Aussie at the moment. So it's had a decent push up. obviously the trend at the moment is temporarily up on this one, mainly due to New Zealand dollar weakness, and obviously this is coming out the back of the Ukraine crisis. The euro's had a little bit of a recovery coming out of that. So we're extended on the 4 hour. We looked at this one yesterday as a potential short opportunity up here, which was the triple top. We got the reaction, but it slammed straight through. So this is now very nicely extended up there. We've also hit the weekly range. It's Thursday, so we've done basically what we would normally do in a week. We've still got another day to go, and we've got news coming out today. So if you're not in any euro shorts, which I am at the moment, I'm already exposed 3 times on the euro, so I can't take any more on, but this is very nicely extended. We're putting in a very nice rejection wick on the last 4 hour candle. We've got a doji sitting there on this current 4 hour as well. So dropping down, we've just had the reversal alert during Asia, which we're retesting. So if this news does come out negative for the Eurozone, there's a good chance this is going to be where we're going to start our either drop or pullback from. Difficult to tell at the moment. The euro is uncharacteristically strong and the New Zealand is uncharacteristically weak, which is why we're getting this extra strong push and these extra sort of surges on this. But obviously we're very extended at the moment. We've got this lovely big accumulation which we slammed out of to create this propulsion gap. So if this is going to continue up in the way it's going at the moment, you can see it's respecting the 24 very nicely, so we should expect any kind of strength on the New Zealand to pump this straight back down again, and obviously any euro weakness to tank it as well. So good opportunity for a short there on the euro New Zealand, but as I say, I was looking at this one yesterday as a good opportunity to short, but I'm already triple exposed on the euro, so can't take any more on. The other ones we've got here, the pound New Zealand as well, very similar. The pound is weaker than the euro at the moment. That was a lovely rejection yesterday. Anybody take this yesterday? Really nice short. So coming down very nicely at the moment. I'm on the pound odd short, which is very similar to the pound New Zealand, except the odd I obviously have picked the one which is ever so slightly weaker at the moment. So, but yeah, very nice opportunity there. Kind of missed it if you're not in it. 1 minute. So forecasts 57.6. So we're looking for lower than 57.5 really. So yeah, pound New Zealand reversal alert, already had it. We've just retested quite nicely there as well. So again, nice M pattern formation on M15. Hourly, we've just come out of that M pattern extension. Lovely, it looks lovely on M pattern on the hourly. It just looks lovely. It just looks like a classic reversal pattern at the minute. High rejection, liquidity run. And reversal on an M pattern. Just looks spot on.
52.8, 52.8 is low.
Yeah, very low. Very low.
The French S&P services PMI, 54.4,
Selling off.
54.4,
Hard.
London forecast 57.5, and the French S&P manufacturing PMI flash, 51 at 51 is London forecast of 54. Taking a look at the market action, seeing Euro weaken and Dixie strengthen, as well as the DAX weaken as well.
So nice gap down on the DAX there. So we'll see if this is going to hold. This could well just be a knee-jerk reaction. We'll see if we get sustained selling off of this. We'll obviously be able to tell if the market is unhappy with those figures. Wow, look at the spread on Euro US dollar. Criminal. Look at that. It's like a 5 or 6 pip spread. Jesus, look at that spread. Gap down Euro New Zealand. Gap down across the board, really, yeah. Woo-hoo. Okay, so expect a pullback to fix that. And then continuation drop. This basically, you might not have this gap. If you haven't got this gap, it's because your broker's not doing this. I'm quite surprised. Robo don't normally do that. Don't normally get spreads that wide. That was obviously very impactful. So that was nice and negative. If we get German coming out, that's quite a lot down on forecast. It's 3 points down on forecast, which is quite a big difference. If we get anything similar coming out of German, we should see a very good drop today on the euro. Should be a couple of hundred ADR drop. So we'll see. But good news for us, not for the euro. Excuse me, pound New Zealand we've covered. New Zealand dollar CAD and New Zealand dollar Swiss. New Zealand is weak, CAD is strong, therefore the same as the Aussie CAD, not much point in trying along this. We're looking for shorts. And New Zealand dollar Swiss, obviously the Swiss franc is still doing very well, the New Zealand isn't. This thing's just collapsing. Didn't really get an entry on it. You know, as I've said all week, it's the choice of the fade or the drop, and you are walking straight in front of a absolute steam train with the Swiss franc. It was a real gamble taken along on that, which is why I didn't bother getting involved. Could have played out nicely. It was a high risk reward, but Swiss franc is on a mission. The Swiss franc now, we should see, actually, because obviously that news, we should see the Swiss franc weakening off the back of that. So we might find any of these that are really extended on the Swissy. Let's look at all the Swissies. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really massively extended. Yeah, New Zealand Swiss is the strongest at the minute. So you might find we get a fade on this morning or today, back up to retest resistance. Because we've got, if we get we'll see what the figures come out at 8:30 on Germany. If the German figures come out negative, the Swiss franc is obviously part of the Eurozone and a big trading partner financially with all of Europe. So if we're getting negative impact on the euro, we tend to get negative impact on the Swissy at the same time. Obviously the Swissy is very, very strong at the moment, so whether or not that news is enough to counter the Swissy and we get some kind of pullback on it will be difficult, but I'd be more inclined to look for that sort of move today on the Swissy, but don't get too greedy with it. Scalp day, intraday, probably by end of day you want to either be there or you want to be out. So potentially good opportunity on the New Zealand dollar Swiss. Just thinking, what else have we got strong at the moment?
3:30 a.m. Eastern Time with the German S&P manufacturing PMI flash. Forecast 54.
Probably. I was going to say US Swiss. It's just going now basically.
Previous 53.7. The German S&P PMI flash. Forecast 54.5. Previous 55. Take a look at the highest and lowest estimate figure for the German S&P manufacturing PMI flash. The highest estimate figure.
Yeah, US dollar Swiss is probably the best thing to take long on that one. Anyway, so watch the ADRs today. Anything euro based, wait until obviously 8:30 until we've had the German news. But anything euro based that hits ADR lows today, probably not a good fade. I would steer clear. Market's reacting very negative. Okay, so just coming down, looks like we're going to test the lows. So just look for reactions down here. So the play today would be reaction off of the lows. So any kind of pullback, look for shorts after the pullback off the lows. And then obviously coming down and retesting previous lows, which is down here. So those are your two levels, 12,950 and 12,930. So bounces and drops off of those levels. Assuming that this is going to tip the DAX over the edge and be what we need to get that next leg down started. Certainly looks like at the moment. But we'll see. Could just be a knee-jerk reaction, and obviously we've got the main news in 9 minutes. Hang on. Got 2 DAXs open for some reason. Right, so obviously ADRs to talk about today. Hourlies we haven't really got a lot either. Everything's kind of the sideways and grindy. So everything we've been looking at this week that looks like a decent setup, I'm in. So it's just a case of waiting for stuff to go our way at the moment. Yesterday we've had sort of sideways grindy uppy type price actions. So looking basically for continuations to the downside on obviously everything. Euro odd is extended on the hourly still. So we got that extension that we looked at yesterday. I'll just go up to a bigger chart. So we were looking at the double top bounce, and basically we got held there in an accumulation. We've just broken up through the highs. So nicely extended on the hourly after being extended. So we're looking at that sort of movement. There's no divergence at the moment. So if we can get RSI sort of flatlining and we get any kind of strength coming through this morning, that would give us bearish divergence, which means we should be ready to get in for that short if you're not already in it. But yeah, looking good on Euro odd on the hourly, still for a short. The Euro New Zealand is the other one, which is obviously coming down already. New Zealand week. So M15 just had a reversal alert, which is just retested on for that news. 5 was this morning during Asia with a retest. So again, lovely M pattern reversal there. Extended on the hourly, been embedded since yesterday, since the double top. I thought that was a triple top, yeah. So we've got the triple top on that one. As you can see, this is the one that's very, very, very slow. So the more we get extended on this, the more likely we're just going to get that collapse. So looking basically for a 24-hour to 48-hour ADR drop. A couple of ADR back down into the 24, and then down here, reevaluate. Just waiting for the drop on it, really. Started on the Euro New Zealand, a lot better than Euro odd. Aussie's really weak at the moment. A lot weaker than the New Zealand dollar, which is very, very annoying. Because obviously I'm buying the Aussie New Zealand as well. But anyway, so hopefully we get some Aussie strength. I'm not quite sure why that is so weak at the minute. I didn't look at the news. Oh. Just temporary weakness. Got 5 minutes to go. Morning SU. Thank God for that negative Euro news. Managed to get out of a few Euro positions with a profit. We've got more to come. Hopefully we've got more to come anyway. I was just scanning the news just to see if there was anything Aussie related overnight. No, just got a weak Aussie at the minute. We've got Lowe speaking tomorrow afternoon. What's he doing up tomorrow afternoon? Speaking in Switzerland. So he's speaking at the SNB basically by the rest of things. Right, okay. So that's the hourlies. There's not a massive amount. Euro New Zealand obviously is massively extended on the hourly. Not anymore. So we're looking for basically that breakdown. So this is the triple top. So anybody that's entered a short position there, if you look at it from a investor perspective, long-term perspective, they're trading dailies and 4 hourlies. Anybody that's entered short there is liquidated there. Everybody that's entered there on the double top is liquidated there. Everybody is liquidated completely there. So that's a liquidity run. Hopefully now we're going to get that drop. I'm hoping we're going to get this move down started, but the market seems to be holding up very well on the euro at the minute. So I've got a feeling what we're seeing with all these temporary euro pushes that we're getting at the moment is just the market sort of factoring in the rate increase in July. So they're you know, when you get rate releases as expected, remember I keep saying, if the rates come out as expected, you will tend to get the market go in line with what the COT report says. We will be flipping, and we did last week flip long on euro because we are expecting positive rate increase. Therefore we should see strength coming through in the euro. So the market starts to factor that in ahead of time. So what we're seeing is the market just getting ready. They're exiting their shorts on the euro, ready to flip long basically, or then starting to flip long, which is why we're seeing this sort of gradual increase on the euro. Obviously what happens when the rate announcement is released next month is going to be dependent on whether they do an as expected or whether they go higher or lower with the rates. Then the market will obviously have factored in a certain amount of increase, and then they will either tank or pump depending on what happens. So I think this is just temporary. So what we should see is just, you know, nice price action as we start to scale into positions, buy up the lows constantly. They're just building long positions ready for that move up. We should still get the pullbacks though. All the speculative money will obviously be exiting the positions. So yeah, it looks good. Euro New Zealand short still. We want to see a breakback down below these highs though, ideally, and a reversal at this candle here is going to be the sticking point if we get one. 4 hours. We've got quite a few 4-hour extensions. Pretty much the same as we've had. Euro Swiss, don't want to get in front of the Euro Swiss. Sorry, we just less than a minute to go. I'll just quickly watch the Euro again. .30 seconds. Watch this turn red, hopefully. It's about 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Preemptive drop there, look. 52 on a 54 forecast.
52 is low in the forecast, 54. The German S&P composite.
So it's all negative.
51.3, that's low in the forecast of 53. The German S&P services PMI flash, 52.4, 52.4, that's low in the forecast of 54.5.
Okay, see if we get that continuation.
As well as seeing Euro weaken.
Another gap down. This just huge spreads. You see, this gap is basically it's not really there. The gap is basically the spread. You can see what the size of the spread is. The gap is the spread basically. Getting lots of spreading on Robo this morning for some reason. They're not all normally like this, but so negative DAX. So we've just tested yesterday's low. We're just coming down to retest previous day. Last week's low. I don't see these holding up today. Bit of a reaction at the low there. but I wouldn't imagine they hold up. Morning, Alan. EuroCAD, I got 0.5% on EuroCAD.
The German S&P PMI Flash June 2022 full report is available at the top of the feed.
COVID. So yeah, you can see down quite bad at the moment. We've gone negative again from a positive move. So not good for the Eurozone. Not good at all. Good for us. Right, I'm overloaded on the Euro, so I might take that one off and go flat on that one, EuroCAD, just because I'm overloaded on Euro. So exited that. So nice little trade, that one. So I've still got Euro on. I've got Euro odd and Euro US. Hoping we get a bit of US dollar strength coming through today. We were a little bit reluctant on the US dollar strength. So I'm looking for that to power up. So I'm holding that one. Australian dollar is not very strong at the moment. Don't really want to do any DD control at the moment on this. I haven't got enough drawdown at the minute. I'm going to let the rest of that run, I think. How much have I got on that Euro US? So break even is here if I take that position off. No, I'm expecting US dollar strength, so I'm going to leave that one on. Blimey. We've got strong yen. Very strong yen off the back of that as well. Look at that. Real strength coming through on the yen. Glad I got out of that other yen yesterday. So I've got US dollar yen on at the minute. Okay. A little bit of a pullback happening off of the lows on the DAX. So it's rejected yesterday's low. So we've got double bottom put in. So this is the pullback starting. So I'll be looking for shorts up there. Okay. So let's look at the 4-hour extensions. Aussie dollar Swiss, which is what we were looking at. Turn him off now. So news-wise for the rest of the morning, we've got PMIs for the pound. Again, we quite often follow Europe, especially with services at the moment because of the banking sector. So if the services are down for France and Germany, we will quite often find the services are down on the UK as well. Manufacturing is a little bit different because we're not big in manufacturing, so that's kind of a bit hit and miss. So I think we may well get some negative off of the pound this morning as well. So if you've got any pound positions on, I've only got the pound order, which would be lovely. We need some negative pound. Just watch your pound pairs and get ready to take some profit. Morning, Beck. Gold. I'll cover gold for you quickly before I do the proper analysis on the stuff that we can actually trade. I'm only saying that because I don't trade gold. Where do you think gold's going? There's a question. You do the analysis on gold. What time frame are you looking at? Can't really draw it. Your guess is as good as mine with gold. Basically, gold is bearish at the moment, but it's not really bearish. It's just sideways. So we're sitting in a balance. This is where the market is happy to conduct gold trade at the moment. We're peeping out the bottom of that range. We've got a monthly low there and a monthly high. So your guess is as good as mine. Could come down and test the monthly lows, could pop up and test the monthly highs, could test last week's high. Don't know. All depends what the US dollar is going to do. And we've got no US catalysts this week, apart from talking heads. So power's not going to say anything this afternoon. So very difficult with gold at the moment. It's not going anywhere, is it? It's sideways. If you want to look at lower time frames, obviously, look for range lows. So when we get down to here, I look for a bounce. When we get up to this area up here, in this accumulation, in these propulsion gaps, I'd look for shorts. But right now, where you are right now, is bang in the middle of a range. Never take a trade in the middle of a range. You got 50-50 shot at a 50-50 reward, so it's just not worth trading at the minute. Right, Aussie Swiss. Here come the sellers. Anybody get on that pullback? So we're just coming down to test last week's low. Should have been trading this morning. These are the days when, like I said yesterday, I've stopped trading the DAX in the morning because I was losing money trading. I wasn't losing money trading the DAX. I wasn't making as much trading the DAX as I was on the NAS, and it wasn't worth the time to trade the DAX. And I was making more losses on the DAX than I was on the US indices in the afternoons. But days like this, it's obvious what's going to happen out the gates when you're anticipating negative figures, and it's really easy to make money on it. But days like this aren't normal days. You know, it's just pullback drops, and then just fib retracements on it. But we're pulling out of this low again at the moment. So this area here is obviously, we've got a lot of limit orders sitting down there. There's a lot of people still believe this bear market is coming to an end. And I think the main fuel for this is the banks. The banks keep saying, oh, we're not going to go into recession. There's only a 50% chance we might get a recession or a slowdown in 2024, blah, 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 blah. They're living on another planet at the moment. The poverty in this country and most countries at the moment is going to get worse in the next few months. It's just crazy. And they're thinking we're not going to go into recession. I know people on fixed salaries who literally are living on credit cards now because their salaries haven't gone up, but their bills have gone up to an extent where they are now making less than they have to pay out each month. So they have to supplement their income on a credit card. So what's happening is we can't spend money. We can't spend money, the economy shrinks. The economy shrinks, we go into recession. That's what's happening right now. And fuel bills are going up in 4 months' time, and petrol prices are continuing to go up. The cost of food is going up. Inflation is increasing month on month. Where on earth the banks are getting we're not going into recession from, I've no idea. People are already in recession. They're living in la-la land, really are. And the people that think that this is slowing, again, living in la-la land. We're dropping. We got loads of room. This is pre-COVID. That's what I'm calling, and I don't think necessarily that's the bottom. We'll see where we are and how long it takes to get here. If this takes a month to get here, 2 months to get here, when the next wave of price increases comes on fuel, and forget about Ukraine, yeah, that's assuming that Ukraine sorts itself out in the next 12 months. If it doesn't sort itself out in the next 12 months, and for any reason Europe gets involved in it, you think that's going back up? No. So, anyway, I can't remember why I started that conversation, but yeah, shorts basically. I think I was talking about basically the looking at a double bottom bounce on this, but yeah, it's not good. And we've got strikes in the UK at the moment. If you're not from the UK, but we've got strikes on the transport networks at the moment. The teachers are about to go on strike. NHS is thinking about going on strike. Basically, all the everything we depend on in the UK is going on strike because inflation's gone up 9% year on year. Their salaries haven't moved for, in some cases, 3, 5 or even 10 years. So they're expecting everybody to survive on everything costing 10% more but no increase on salary. It just is, it's an impossible thing. You can't do it. So negative across the board basically, and interest rates are going to continue to rise until they get to the point where inflation is starting to plateau. And inflation will only start to plateau if we get oil prices and everything stopping everything going up. The cost of everything is based on oil. To transport everything in the world, you need petrol. If petrol goes up, the cost of transporting everything in the world goes up. Therefore, the price of everything in the world goes up. That's not going to stop while the Ukraine crisis is happening. Africa can't be fed at the moment. They've got no food because they didn't have much food when they started. But now the biggest grain producer in the world, the Ukraine, isn't giving any grain to anybody. There's nothing that is going to stop a recession. So pullbacks and shorts constantly. I still think you can hit the sell button here, and if you were to hold it for the next 3 months, I think you pretty much have your pension done. But anyway, if you've got the balls to do it, good luck. Anyway, let's go back to where we were. Sorry, wrong chart. Aussie dollar Swiss. Stevie, so you're short Swiss yen, Euro CAD and US yen. You're shorting against the yen. You're brave. At the moment, you're good. You're coming out of an extension, but I'd be a bit wary shorting that thing at the minute. But again, this is what I would say. You could easily be right on that for a pullback down to there. The Swiss franc's got to give up at some point, and the Swiss franc right now, with all that European news being negative, is dropping. That New Zealand Swiss we were just looking at, I'd imagine is pumping now. We'll say pumping, it's starting to pump. So yeah, it's good. Euro CAD, I got out too soon on that one, but as I say, I'm overexposed on the euro. US dollar yen, I'm long on that only because I'm expecting the US dollar to power up and the yen to be weak, but we got some temporary strength coming through at the moment on that yen. The yen liked that euro news, so I think there's a lot of money potentially flying back into the yen as a safe haven. They're jumping out of euro and spotting into yen at the minute, but we'll see if that holds. I'm still not convinced people want to buy the yen at the moment, but different time frames. Everybody can be in a different direction on different things at different times. I'm playing this on the 4 hour, so I've got plenty of room. Right, let's do the 4 hours quickly. Aussie dollar Swiss. So off of the back of that news, potential Swiss weakness. How long that Swiss weakness will last, I'm not sure. We're very, very extended. You're quite brave, I think, longing anything against the Swiss at the moment. Short term, yes, there's a good possibility. We've got nice tweezer bottoms just going on the 4 hour. You've just had you're just about to get a 15-minute reversal alert going in. now. It was previously there off of that low, but we've just put a new low in. It's pretty much in the same spot anyway. So you're just about to get a reversal alert off of that now. Whether you get that sustained or not, I don't know. So temporary Swiss weakness. The problem is the Aussie. We haven't got any Aussie dollar strength at the moment. So although this is nicely extended, you're going to be reliant on really the Swissy weakening to such an extent that it can get a push, or the Aussie coming to life. And the Aussie's really not, I mean, the Aussie's not interested at the minute, is it? It's weak as you like. So difficult one at the moment. I wouldn't want to get in front of the Swissy, even with that Euro news, because the Swiss banking system is going to keep making money. And with the rate announcement, obviously it's powering up dramatically. So oil dropped $18 a barrel, but no reduction at the UK pump prices. No. And there's a reason for that. If you're a conspiracy theorist, which I'm not, but obviously the government, the vast majority of that is tax in the UK. It's not in the government's interest to have oil prices, petrol prices drop at the moment, because they are massively in need of money, and they've got to get taxed from somewhere. So yeah, we've had this big drop from 120 back down to 103. This is exactly where you want to be buying it. We're calling 150 a barrel in the next year. We're not, I mean the OPEC members are, mainly the Arab states obviously, but we're just down at the bottom of the channel now. We've pulled back down below the 72, but yeah, this is where I would be looking to buy up oil if I was trading. I don't trade oil, but crude is such a thin market. It moves very, very quick on the futures, so this can move very, very fast in the opposite direction as well. But yeah, at the moment, nice and low, but like Alan said, they don't give it to us at the pumps. Hopefully at some point we'll get it. CAD Swiss, nicely extended, again to the downside. Strong CAD, stronger Swiss. So this is one that it's only just got extended after this initial dump. So we got really nicely extended and embedded based off the Swiss franc increase, the rate increase. We pushed up into the support rectangle and we are sort of rejecting. The Canadian dollar has been a little bit weak. Obviously we've just shown oil prices are coming down, tends to weaken the CAD. Oil prices are going to go back up, so we will potentially get a CAD increase. So at the moment this is looking good. We're looking for good CAD strength. Again, the Swiss franc is the fly in the ointment here. Off the back of that news we're going to get temporary weakness, so right now it's a good looking long. How long that's going to last is going to be dependent on whether the Swiss franc is going to move independently of the euro. If you look at the euro Swiss historically, yeah, the Swissy's always been stronger than the euro. So there's a very good chance that the Swissy will continue its strength even with euro weakening. But short term, I think that CAD Swiss is probably a good little play. So looking at M5, M15, you just had a reversal alert on that, and it's already retested. So this looks like a good looking long opportunity. I'd be a bit cautious with this one from a position trading perspective though. I'm the opposite bias really on this. Well, I'm not really biased on it in any direction because we've got two strong currencies, so it's very hard to take a trade on it in any one direction long term. But yeah, longs, but it's, you know, it's a Swiss pair. It's always choppy, but looks good at the moment for longs. And this is the one I think that has got the potential to come back and fade because we've got CAD strength, but you know, it hasn't managed to over the last week. We've got nowhere. So this is a particularly good looking wick off play. So what I would be looking for here is a spring, so a sweep of that low. The fact that we just had that news potentially might make that difficult to achieve now. So if we hold up at these highs again and accumulate, I'll be looking for a breakout of that, but I don't, not really one I'm interested in particularly, not the right bias. Morning, Trevor. So I'm just pulling back off those lows. I'm going to take one off that Euro US. I'm not far from average on it. I just want to get some more in the bank. That's this week's target done, basically, so I can just worry about the rest of this now. Should get some continuation on the euro, so I'm not particularly worried about those two. The pound odd is my main concern at the moment. We are coming down at the minute, so I'm not that worried about it. But right, CAD Swiss. Just covered. Euro odd. Sorry, hectic morning this morning. Euro odd, I'm short. We are obviously extended still. We tapped up into the highs and dropped again. Any kind of push on the euro tends to be followed by a pullback. We're still not sure on continuation strength on the euro, so waiting for this to profit take at the moment. That's probably the catalyst we need for the profit take. Not sure how far we're going to get on it to the downside. It's going to depend on the Aussie really, which we've obviously got no strength on whatsoever. I'm just going to move my TP up on that, and I'm going to put both TPs down at 50, which is an ADR, 125 ADR hit. So looking for a pullback, and then potentially, depending on what happens with the Oz, we could get another leg up on this, but we need a profit take move on it. So Euro odd looking good for shorts if you're not in it, but just had a reversal on M15. I was in it off of this anyway, so that was the double top play. That's why I got into it yesterday. So that's nicely extended. Swiss yen is also extended on the daily. Not anymore. Well, it is still extended on the daily, but obviously we're not got a nice pullback starting. That's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 solid days up. Obviously this is the Swiss yen. It's the strongest, potentially the strongest currency at the moment. Potential new safe haven material against what has been the weakest currency for the last couple of months. So yeah, dangerous short, that one. Euro New Zealand, we've come off those highs nicely now. So again, 4-hour extension. We looked at this one on the hourly extension, extended on the 4-hour, coming back down below that triple top. So probably get a reversal out and pullback. Wouldn't look for anything more than that sort of level initially. The New Zealand dollar's doing fairly well at the moment though, so looks like we're just breaking out to the lows on DAX. Okay, so we're just testing last week's low right now. At the moment we're putting in 1 bar pullbacks, so sort of thing you can just get ready to jump in straight away. Good to scale into a short on probably today. What's happening to the NAS? The rest of the markets in the US not particularly bothered at the moment. Neither is the FTSE. So I'm flicking around a lot today, but there's a lot going on. Right, so yeah, Euro New Zealand rolling over very nicely on the RSI extension. Obviously, reversal alert on that was in Asia this morning, if you weren't already in one. Pound Swiss, again, extended to the downside, not one that I really want to get in front of. The Swiss franc obviously potentially is going to strengthen up off the back of, weaken off the back of the Euro news. But we've got a very weak pound, so more than likely go into an accumulation or into a flag and then break back down again. We've got more news on retail tomorrow morning, and 9:30 we've got the PMIs, so in half an hour we've potentially got pound weakness coming up. So I don't really want to long anything against the pound at the moment. You can see it's obviously not a happy bunny at the minute. It is very saying that it is massively extended from the 24. When we get that far away from the 24 moving average, typically we will get some kind of pullback to the 24.72 zone. So it is due, but obviously when you've had a fundamental shift like we have on the Swissy, the other option is we just go into accumulation or flag, waiting for the 24 to come down on top of. Rather than pulling back to the moving average, we wait for the moving average to catch up with price and then push from there. So that's more of an accumulation or a flag. So either way, it's probably not an unsafe long opportunity, but it's totally counter trend and totally counter strength to take a long on it. I'd much rather be waiting for us to get up into this area and short it. So up to you. It is just extended, but you can see it's been embedded since sort of last week or so, really. We got embedded on the RSI, we got extended on the RSI there, and obviously Swiss franc news happened. This is why we've got to pay attention to news. It's so critical. If you're position trading, you need to know what's coming up with the news, because the news is what either makes or breaks you. If you get the wrong side of a position when you get fundamental shift from the news coming out, that's where you get hurt. So you've got to be aware of it. New Zealand dollar Swiss we've looked at already again. So again, it's the Swissy. Are we going to get the fade or not? Short term, looking for these levels. So if you look at it on the hourly, I'd be watching three quarters away to ADR today, and I'd be watching that sort of level, potentially for another leg down. But again, if the Swiss franc doesn't power up, we could just make this fade completely. If we get that fade, then I'd be looking for a nice short out of it. But I'm not getting interested in the Swissy at the minute. It's high risk, but obviously high reward as well. So it's very, very, very extended. And as you can see, we're getting big moves on the New Zealand dollar Swiss. New Zealand at the moment isn't doing too bad. Nothing's doing well against the yen today. So everything Swiss related obviously is pumping, because obviously the Swiss is dropping along with the euro. So hourly candles have just closed. Reversal alert on Euro CAD. Euro odd, we've just tapped into, what level's that? That's that high. So we've just tapped into and stopped at that high. So we may well get a little bit of a pullback before we move down now. So you see the neutrality there for the Euro Swiss. Yeah. No change. These guys move in tandem. They're affected by that news, both of them. So little bit of a spike, but no movement. Stronger euro than Swiss off the back of that news, which is interesting. But all the other euros weak, especially euro yen. Euro New Zealand reversal alert, euro US dollar reversal alert as well. Just taking that one off. So that's a nice little trade. So there's two positions taken off of that now. So I've banked pretty much 1% on it with a break even. So I'm going to let that one run though. I think we're going to get some US dollar strength trickling in soon. At the moment, if you look at the Dixie, which is obviously the inverse, the Euro US dollar is the inverse of the Dixie. So if you look at a Dixie chart, you'll see this is virtually the same, it's just upside down. So what we've got on here is a flag short. On the Dixie, you'll see that. So looking to come down, which is where my TP is, looking to come down and retest these lows, 175 ADR. I don't think we'll get that today. It's not as big a reaction as I was hoping for out of that, to be honest. I was hoping for an ADR hit off the back of that, but we'll see. Anybody got any other pairs they want to have a look at the moment? I've got nothing anywhere near drawdown control levels at the moment. I'm a little bit overloaded on that euro, that pound odd, which is the only thing that's slightly worrying me at the moment. But we'll see where we get to today. If we can get back down below this high and put in a new low, that could potentially be a market structure shift starting. The high, lower low. So looking for a lower high and then move down from there. So it's a nice M pattern. So we'll see, but certainly nice and weak at the minute. Plus 2.2 so far, but going to let them run a bit. Cool. Good job. So I'm up 2.5% on the week, which is good. 10% a month, 2.5% a week. Hopefully I'll bag some more today on these euros. I'm always trying to get flat for the weekend is the goal. So anything I get into in the week, my goal is always to be flat for the weekend. Very rarely works. It's very nice when you get there. But yeah, so flat for the weekend is ideal, but the way the yen's going at the moment, I've got a feeling that US dollar yen's going to get stuck a little bit. Just want to check where the next entry is on that. Euro CAD I can turn off because I'm flat. No, it's there. Okay. 90. Yeah, I'm not going to get another position on that, so I'm just going to let that one go. US dollar yen. Okay, that's it for this morning. Nothing much else I'm interested in at the minute. Just babysitting these. I've got my exposure down on the euro, which is good. Still overexposed on the odd. I'm not particularly worried about it. The Aussie New Zealand is fairly slow, so I'm not going to go into big drawdown on the Aussie New Zealand because it doesn't move particularly quick. These two move very much in tandem, so they're slow movers. So I'm not too worried about the exposure on it. I'm certainly not worried about the exposure on the euro odd now after that news. Pound odd is the one I'm most concerned about, and obviously depending on what happens with the yen today, the US dollar yen, so everything else is all looking pretty good. Right, I'll call it a day there. If you need anything else, let me know. If anybody has used Jigsaw for trading futures, let me know in Telegram if you've used it. If you've got any hints, tips, if you're still using it, if you're trading futures, obviously, because I'm just playing around with Jigsaw at the moment after looking at Boocamp for my futures account, and I'm also using it as a tool to help with trading the funded account on the indices. And I must say, Boocamp was the first time I'd looked at sort of heat map ladder software, and it makes a massive difference knowing where when the orders are sitting for scalping. So the scalping I've been doing has been incredibly accurate. As I say, $4,700 in the last 2 days. But I want to give it, I need to give it a week and see what happens. The thing that's given me confidence is the fact that I've only traded the S&P on it. And I traded the S&P during a trend day, and I traded the S&P during a range day, and I got pretty much the same result. So when you're testing anything, you have to trade through multiple market conditions to see if it's giving you an edge. And so far, can't fault it. But I'll do some videos on it if I continue to use it, and I think it's continuing to make some sense. I might start doing a few afternoon sessions, or maybe just recording some afternoon sessions of trading and stick them up so you can have a look at it. But Trevor, 4.6% today, thanks to that Samsung Magic. Blimey, good job. 4.6 is pretty good achievement. You're obviously over leveraged, or you're holding on to stuff way longer than I can manage to. You're a holder, obviously. I'm not. I'm a get out, put it in the banker, which is probably why I only make 10 to 15% a month. But hey, I'm drawdown averse, so I've only got 1% on at the moment. Obviously, as you know, my drawdown tolerance is somewhere in the region of 10 to 15%, so I don't mind going into drawdown, but I'm trying to bank fast at the minute, because obviously this market is so unpredictable with what's going on in the Ukraine, with what's going on with the rates, with what's going on with everything in the world at the moment. It's a very volatile market. We've got decent size ADRs going in across stuff we never used to see decent size ADRs on, and everything's all over the place at the moment. So banking fast, over leveraged. Yeah. As long as you've identified you're over leveraged and you identify why you've made 4.6% today, that's good. It's the people that make 4.6% every day and then suddenly go, I've blown my account, and then they realise they're over leveraged. So as long as you know why you're making that much money, or you're just awesome, which is obviously another option. But be a bit careful at the minute. Obviously, you've seen what happened with the euro there, and what's continuing to happen with the euro there. I knew I shouldn't have got out of the euro CAD. If I wasn't overexposed, I wouldn't have got out of that one. Don't like being overexposed. It worries me. I've been stuck in overexposure before on things like the US dollar Swiss. I've been overexposed on the US dollar when the US dollar Swiss has tanked, and it's not fun. Stevie, everyone got their own tolerances. Sometimes it pays, and other times you give it all back by not cashing out. Yeah, exactly. Some people's tolerances on... I've had people done the position trading bootcamp, and they've messaged me in Telegram saying they're in 20-25% drawdown. When do you think I should start doing drawdown control? It's like 10% ago. But they're not worried. That's why I don't put a number on drawdown control and when you start it, because everybody's got a different tolerance to drawdown, and it depends on your account and how you view it. I view my account as being 35 grand's worth of, or 28 grand's worth of drawdown. That's what it's there for. It's there for me to use to make money. Other people view it as, I've lost 10 grand when I'm 10 grand in drawdown. You haven't lost anything when you're 10 grand in drawdown. You're in drawdown by 10 grand. The market is going to come back in all likelihood. So Trevor, the My Forex Funds Accelerated Program rules work well for me. Are you doing an accelerated account, are you? So that's the one you pay $2,500 to get $2,500 in drawdown, isn't it? I think. Yeah, so that's where you buy. You're basically buying your account, which is, you know, absolutely fine if you've got the confidence to trade it and get funded immediately. But you can only go up to 50k. That's the only problem with those. But yeah, and basically you're buying 2.5. You're buying your 5% drawdown, aren't you? So 5% of 50k is $2,500. So you're basically getting a $50 discount on it, and it works, and it's brilliant. You know, if you don't want to go through a valuation, just go straight to funded. The only reason I didn't do that here was because the funding process is so fast on the evaluation. It only takes 10 days to get funded. Oh well, you obviously that depends whether or not you you make it or not, but obviously yeah, it only takes 10 days, 2 stages, 5 days per stage, 10 days, and then you've got your funding. And obviously the advantage of the evaluation is the funding level is much better, and even that, I mean, that now I think they're going to hold that from what I've seen in the Discord funded group. I think they're going to extend that when they get there. They're doing it as a trial at the moment, to see what level of exposure they get, because obviously they're worried about exposure on the funded accounts. You know, they're paying people out 5 figures on these accounts. You know, it's not going to be difficult for some of these people that go crazy and get lucky to be paid out 50k on these. So they've got to be careful with the exposure, because obviously there is potential if 3 people get funded with those with £1 million, there's a potential of 100k loss to them. So interesting. But yeah, if you are confident, go for the accelerated. There's a funding area on the website now where I've put links up to My Forex Funds and Apex. And it's an interesting read actually. These are all the reasons I like those two over the rest. This is what I think you should be looking for in a funded account. And close second, I think, to My Forex Funds is FTMO. So if you didn't go with these guys, FTMO are probably your best for fast funding. Trevor, I've already ranked up from 20k to 40k. You've doubled the account. Or you've scaled? Have you scaled? Because obviously there's scaling plan on it. So you went with that one, did you? And you've scaled. I think the scaling, you need 10%, don't you, on the scaling plan? I thought you had to do it for six weeks or something, isn't it? I can't remember. There was rules for scaling. I'm not far off of scaling. If I hadn't had those bad days, I would be, yeah, scaled. Nice, very good. Took an hour to get funded. Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of My Forex Funds, and that's why I've kind of pushed them a little bit more than FTMO. FTMO, when I got funded with FTMO, but it took me over a week to get the account. With my Forex funds, stage 1 evaluation, literally the day I passed it, and when I closed that trade that got me past the evaluation, a button appeared in the back in the account analyzer saying, go to stage 2. So I pressed the button. 2 minutes later, there's an email with my logins for stage 2. I logged into stage 2 and I was off. When I passed stage 2, it said, congratulations. Immediately when I closed that trade that passed the level, I got the email and it said fill out the contract. I went online, filled out the contract, sent it back. 6 hours later, I had 50k in my account. Funded, done. I was like, geez, that's fast. These guys don't mess about. That's why I think they're so good. And that's one of the things I've put in the list is, fast funding. It's been up to 2 weeks with some people. FTMO was about a week. Others have taken longer. Apex was really fast as well. Apex I got funded within 48 hours. They're in the US. They got funny time scales, but MFF is all automated, which is the beauty of it. So, the accelerator program, if you're confident and you've got the money, and I've said this to people before, if you want to start trading and you're confident, don't put 5k of your own money or 3k of your own money into an account and start trading it. Give it to these guys and get 50k. Because if you start with that and you blow that, you've blown that. If you start with that and you then start trading with that, you're going to be way more serious and confident and treat this more like a business when you're trading with a 50k account than you are with your own money 2.5. Because what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make money fast. Yeah, if you can return 5% a month on that, you're making 2.5k. Yeah, if you return 5% a month on that, you're making nothing, are you? You're making what? What is that? $125? My brain's not working. Yeah, $125. Yeah, so that's the difference. If you say, right, I'm going live, I'm going to use 2.5k of my own money. If you can return 10% a month, you're making $250. Do exactly the same thing by giving them that money. All of a sudden now you're making $2.5 a month. Big, big, big difference. And you will trade properly with that. You won't mess about. And that's the problem with evaluations, as you've seen. Evaluations you mess about in. It's very easy to muck about in an evaluation. When you've got a funded account, you treat it differently, you trade it differently. Because it's real money. This is the only one which seemed to be good for position trading and having enough drawdown. Well, I've got a funded account with my Forex funds. I can't position trade in them, though. I can't position trade in here. I blow the account. You can't stay within 5%. Very hard to stay within 5%. So yeah, not for position trading. For scalping, yes, that's what I use the account for intraday scalping on the indices. I don't use it for position trading. But I'd rather trade my own money. If I'm trading my own money is, for me, as a position trade is better. But trading other people's money intraday, I think, is the best way to go. I've tried position trading on CTI, FTMO. I haven't tried it on my Forex funds. It's the same thing. They're all the same. The problem is, I'm in 1% of drawdown now. I was in 2.2% of drawdown this morning. Yeah. I've only been position trading this for 4 days. If, for example, that news on the euro had come out completely the opposite, I'd probably be in 5 or 6% of drawdown now, wouldn't I? I wouldn't be particularly worried about it because I know I can get myself out of it. But I would be in 5 or 6% of drawdown. The other problem with trying to position trade in a funded account is if you get yourself up to say 4% in drawdown, the only option you have available to you is aggressive drawdown control and fast. If those aggressive drawdown control positions fail, you're going to maybe lose 0.3% or 0.2% on each aggressive drawdown control position. If you have two of those which fail, which happens regularly on aggressive drawdown control, you might have lost 0.7% trying two aggressive drawdown positions. So that 4% of drawdown you're in is now 4.7% on two aggressive trades. You've now got 0.3% to play with and you're stuck here. What do? There is nothing you can do. So yeah, if you usually trade with a 20k account, the idea is to have a 40k funded account. Yeah, you could double the account size, but then what happens when you go into 10% of drawdown when you get a squeeze? It's the same thing. It just doesn't work. You can do it. You've got to have a good couple of weeks. But if you've been in here for any length of time, I've been running this live room for over 2 years now. I have been in that 2 years in drawdown of 15 to 20%. I would say probably 4 or 5 times. 5 to 10% drawdown every month. Very, very rare I'll go with a month where I don't hit 5% drawdown. So every month I'm going to blow an account, aren't I? Or every other month I'm going to blow an account when I get above 10%. Just doesn't work with the rules. And I get myself out of them all the time. I always do. You could aim for a lower target, but that's what I say. If you haven't got funds, that's the way to go. I'm fortunate. I've got a 30k trading account of my own money, so I don't need to go the funded route. What's the point? I'm doing it now. I've made 12 grand this month. 1,200 quid. I made £1,000 this week. It's just this is what I'm doing. I don't need a funded account to do that. I can't afford a funded account for futures because the margin I would need to get that, I would need to put 30 to 50k in to get a decent margin to be able to trade 5 or 10 contracts on the ES. So that I do need a funded account for, because I can't fund that and fund this. So you got to, it's round swings and roundabouts. But if you want to start, if you're just starting out in trading and you haven't got a big bankroll, these people that say to me, can I trade with your EA on $500? Well, for a start, the EA costs $199, so you've only got $300, haven't you? No. But if you gave these guys $245 instead of using that $300 to try and trade, you can trade with $5,000. That's a massive thing. That's a massive difference. This is what I'm trading. Oh, I'm not. I'm trading with 40k, 38k in dollars, I think it is. So that's the equivalent of that. I could take $2,500 out of my account and buy one of these, but what's the point? I've then got to play by their rules. I don't like rules. If I played by the rules, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But that's why most people fail, because they're playing by the rules. Aren't they? This is why everybody fails, because they're just getting stopped out all the time. That's that is the problem with trading. Everybody's hunt for the holy grail is based on the fact that they enter a trade short and get stopped out on it. That system doesn't work. They take a reversal alert long, it doesn't get to their target, and it comes back down and stops them out. Well, that reversal alert indicator doesn't work. No indicator works. All indicators are telling you is what's happened in the past. It doesn't tell you what's going to happen in the future. What's going to happen in the future is based on fundamentals. So if you've got an idea where they're going to go with it at some point in the future, get in that direction. But don't let the market have your money all the time while you're potentially wrong. Just waiting for it to be right, aren't you? We know this. We've seen it happen over and over and over again. Market gets extended, everybody that's bought has to exit their positions. Market gets extended, everybody that's bought has to exit their positions. We don't know when they're going to exit their positions because we're not the big boys, we're not the banks. So we get in and we wait for the banks to do it. And if we get in and we're wrong, we get in again and we get in again until we wait until the banks go, all right, let's go now. And then we get out with the banks. The problem with this is if the banks decide to put me into 6% of drawdown, because that's when the banks want to do it, I lose it. I lose. That's the problem. So you could get, as you say, a 50k account, but trade with it as if it's a 5k account with tiny position sizing, which buys you much more movement. But then again, what are you going to make out of that? $500 a month. It's not what people want to do, is it? If you've got a 50k account and you're returning $500 a month because you're trading it as if it's a 500, it's just not worth it. But I don't know. I mean, it's down to individuals, and if you get in fast, you get in hard, you're going to make more money, aren't you? And if you have a lucky run, and half this business is luck. This is the thing. If you get in as the banks are deciding to make their moves, that's brilliant. That's lucky. If you took the short there, brilliant. If you took the short there, you sat in drawdown for a week and a half. That's unlucky. It's luck. This is a completely random, chaotic thing. There is no control. There's no indicator that can control the random chaos. The random chaos is controlled by the banks. You just need to know what the banks are likely to do in the future. That's the only thing you have going for you. And that's why I love that order flow tool that I'm using at the moment for the futures market, because it shows me where the banks are. It shows me where the banks are sitting, and it shows me when the banks are executing their orders. So I just jump in with them. You can't do that in the Forex market because there's no centralized exchange, which is why everybody trades futures. So using futures on this type of account with my Forex funds, I press the button here when I see things happening in the futures market, and these are obviously correlated. Lovely pullback there, short entry. But anyway, off on a tangent. But if you're making it work, fair play. I just couldn't make it work. I just couldn't stick within the rules. I tried it with CTI. We did a challenge with CTI. I can't remember when it was. But I got to, I think it was 60 or 70% of target. And then we got squeezed on something and just lost it. And there was loads of people doing it at the time with me as well. There was about 4 or 5 of us doing it. So, but yeah, we've got some movement going on. Just see my drawdown jump. Looks like the euro. I know euro's still pushing. Maybe it was the pound. Yeah, we've got a spike on the pound. Oh, sorry, while we've been talking, we've just had the pound PMIs, which look like they've just come out positive. Yeah. It's 0.4, it's marginal. So we're negative manufacturing, plus 0.4 services, so not, yes. Look at the spread. Robo Forex, what are you doing? 16. Jesus. I suppose this is a New Zealand dollar pair, to be fair. So yeah, we just had a spike off that news, but it's a 0.4 increase. It's not good. It's not positive. It's just what we thought it was going to be, which isn't as good as it was. So yeah. SU, thanks a lot, Lee. Following your bootcamp, switch to position trading with my losing trades after removing the stop loss on them and doing a lot better now. Just need to live drawdown a bit longer. Yeah. Drawdown control is the hard bit, so you'll get used to it. There's a video on drawdown control. If there's any video in that whole bootcamp to watch 3 times, it's the drawdown control one. Get your head around the fact that this is not yours while this is active. You need to use this to remove this, but only when these get to the levels that you are unhappy with. Yeah, so everyone's got their own independent levels. For me, 2 to 3%. I'm thinking I'm wrong. I need to start cutting a little bit of this off. Overall, 10 to 15%. I'm then thinking about getting aggressive. But aggressive drawdown control before you start using your profits to get rid of drawdown is the way forward. You just got to keep on top of this. Keep this low. So your goal is to make this green every day and reduce that red every day. Just keep on top of that red. I'm always in red, as I say. If you've watched these over the last couple of years, I'm always in red. I'm always in drawdown. That's what it's there for. Drawdown. My account is not there to enter a trade and immediately that trade go in my direction and me to bank it. That's not what happens in the real world. What happens in the real world is I enter a position and it goes immediately into drawdown because I've got no idea when it's going to go my way. So I'm always in this. It's just a case of keeping on top of this so it doesn't get away from you. It's a balancing act. But this is what happens. Think of yourself like a pension fund, yeah? Pension funds have multiple elements to them. They'll be investing in energies, they'll be investing in tech, they'll be investing in manufacturing, they'll be investing in soy or agriculture. They'll have their risk spread across multiple areas, and tech might start dropping while agriculture goes up. And what they're watching is how is the overall portfolio performing. This is your portfolio, your position in the market. How is your position in the market performing? Yeah, take some when it's doing well and use it to get rid of stuff that isn't doing as well, and just balance the whole thing. It's a balancing act. Until you've been into a squeeze, into a drawdown position where you've got this like this and they're all red and that's sitting at 8%, that's when you realise, I get it now. I need to start doing some bits and pieces of drawdown. Yeah, keep me updated, Trevor. Be interesting to see how you get on with position trading it. I think over leveraging, I hate to say it, but over leveraging in a funded account when you're position trading is probably the way forward because you'll be out so much faster. If you don't spread your entries quite as wide, you'll probably do better. But then you'll get squeezed faster as well. So I don't know. I just couldn't make the maths work. Alan, is the MST signal channel now dead? Yes. Yeah. I only set that up while I was running that evaluation for my second funded account, which I blew. So I was only running that while I was running that. I'm not a signal service. There's plenty of signal services. If you want a good signal service for indices, someone like Trader Tom's good. But he's an uber scalper. In and out, and by the time you've got his signal, he's out. So signal services never work. Doesn't matter. I'm in Trader Tom's channel because I like Tom Hugard. he's a very good trader. He's a very good educator as well. But he puts up polls every now and again. And at the moment he's doing a challenge. I can't remember what it was. I think it's something like 200k to a million, or 100k to a million or something is the challenge in just trying to look it up. I think it's 45 days or something. But he put out a poll the other day, which I thought was quite amusing, because obviously he runs a Signal channel, which is all free. And I think he was saying something like, I think the question, I'm trying to find it, I can't find the poll, but the questions were something like, are you taking the trades I'm taking on this challenge? Are you not taking the trades, or are you not doing it because of a particular reason? And I think it was something like 78% of people said they couldn't follow the trades for whatever reason. He was like, well, what's the point? And that's the problem with Signal channels, is you can't, he's doing this challenge where he's grown his account, I think, by 100 grand, 150 grand or something so far. But the problem is you will never take every one, every signal he sends, because the signal that he sends that makes him 10 grand that day, you were downstairs making a cup of tea at that point. You come back up and you go, oh, you hit the button on it and he says close it, and you're like, oh, close it, and you lost 20 pips or points or whatever. He actually made 25 points. And this is the problem with signal channels, and this is why I don't do signals, because I have done signals in the past, and all I get is people moaning at me saying, I didn't make the same amount of money. Well, no, of course you won't. Because when I hit this button, by the time I've sent it to the Telegram group, if I'm scalping, that thing's moved. This is my signal channel. I come in here every day, I do an analysis, and I tell you what I'm getting into, why I'm getting into it, and where I'm planning to get into the positions. And then I tell you what happened. As a position trader, not a problem, is it? Because I'm trading 4-hour charts. So if you watch the replay of this in 2 hours time, you can still take the trade, because I'm planning on holding it for probably a day or two, maybe a day. I don't know, it depends what happens with the market. If I get into something here and all of a sudden it tanks down to there by 0.75%, I'm out in 4 hours. I have no idea, but at least it's slow enough that you can get in. There's no point in setting up a signal channel for this. Come and watch the live room or watch the replay of it. It takes an hour. And you learn something. Rather than just sending signals where you go, I say buy, and you go buy. Why'd you buy it? No idea. And what happens if I die? It's not been horrible, but if you're following a signal, if you were to follow Trader Tom, for example's signals, and Trader Tom gets ill and he can't trade for 3 months, where's your income? That's why I don't like signal services. People need to learn how to do it, how to do whatever they need to do to make money. You can't follow somebody else, because that person, you've no idea what. Let's say he gets dementia, or anybody that you follow signals of suddenly gets dementia and he starts hitting the button in the opposite way. All of a sudden that 100k account you had is now 10k because you followed his signals. What you don't know is what's going on behind the scenes. He's gone mad. He just, everybody wants to follow signals because they want to make money, but nobody wants to actually put in the hours to make the money. That's the difficulty. And I totally get it. I've been there many times. Alan, I didn't follow the trades. I was trying to get an understanding of your method. Well, yes, that's the problem as well. With scalping, anything short term, there is no method as such. There are very, very, very few scalpers you will find that use a mechanical method. I'm discretionary. Yeah, and there's lots of things that tell me what to do when I'm scalping. Yeah, so I'll be sitting there watching the charts, and we will pull up into the 20 moving average, and I'll be thinking this looks like a good area for a short. I'll see a candle come down like that, and then I'll see this thing light up like a Christmas tree red. That's why I'm hitting the button. because this thing lights up like a Christmas tree red. And I'm getting on board with the momentum. There's no mechanical system. Yes, it's a pullback to the 20. Yes, it's a 38 to 50% retracement on a fib. Yes, that's what I'm expecting, but why I have hit the button isn't because of any of those reasons. It's because of a combination of the market feels heavy today, we've had news which is likely to push the DAX down, and we've got back to the 20 with a retracement, and I've seen the market pump. Tomorrow I might say that is where I take the trade, or I might say tomorrow I'm taking every 1 bar pullback. It's completely discretionary. And if you follow people like Trader Tom, you will see there are a lot of rules he has in his head. But he will take different trades at different times, and he will add to different trades at different times based on how he feels. It's a discretionary thing. Because when you're scalping in and out the market, you're so fast, you're like scared by everything. It's a scary thing, and it's a very hard thing to do, which is why the only reason I started scalping again, I used to scalp years ago, and I used to be a stock scalper. The only reason I stopped it was because I was working 8 hours a day. It was hard work, and it drives you mental. Very hard on the psychology. And position trading, you know, it's like, I don't care. Don't care. I know what will happen at some point. I just don't care if it happens now or tomorrow. There's no stress involved. When I've hit these buttons, I can shut this down and come back to it tomorrow and not really worry about it. When I'm in this thing, scalping, I hit the button, I'm like a nervous, shaking wreck every time it ticks up and down, because every tick is costing me $12.50 in the futures market, or in on the funded account, it's costing me $10 a tick. So yeah, different kettle of fish, and it's discretionary. There's very few scalpers out there. If you do any scalping, any futures courses, any footprint courses, anything to do with futures markets, you'll find everyone will teach you how the market works. They won't teach you a system. They'll give you a few guidelines, but there's no do this when that happens. It's discretionary, which is why it's very difficult to follow signals. It's feeling. Whose signals are you talking about? Didn't get it. Tom Hugard, his name is, Trader Tom. I only use volume profile personally. Learned a lot from Mali or at Maline and Convergent Trader. Never heard of that one. There's loads of people out there that will teach you volume profile and teach you DOM trading, order book. It's all the same stuff, but again, it's very hard. I follow Trader Tom channel, and you're right, it's so difficult to follow him. Yeah, I started following Tom a long time ago, but mainly just to see what he does, and just to admire him, really. He's a bloody good trader, but you can't follow him because it's too fast. He's in and out. So yeah, not Tom Dante, Tom Hugard. Which broker do I use for futures trading? I don't. I use Apex. Probably the best out there is Trade. I mean, there's loads. There's AMP Futures. Tradeovate really is your best one. Tradeovate. Interactive Brokers. There's lots of futures out there, but most people who trade futures tend to trade with a funded company. So they'll trade with Apex or FTMO or there's loads of them out there, but you're better off going through funded. Because the trouble with futures is to fund a futures account, you need $550 per contract on the ES to trade intraday. So if you wanted to trade 5 contracts on the ES, you need $2,500 as a starting point. And if you were to take a few trades and go into drawdown on that account, you then are reducing the number of contracts you can trade, so it becomes a never-ending descending circle if you don't get it right out the bat and make money straight away. So most people trading futures will tend to start with something like 10 to 20k, because otherwise you're not going to have that buffer to have a couple of bad days. You know, and futures traders, we're talking making 500 to 5,000 a day. You're not mucking about. One ES contract is worth $12.50 a tick. 5 to 8 ticks within seconds is totally normal at the open. So, and for the first hour of trading, so you've got to have some serious money in the account. So that's why people go the funded route. You also can't hold overnight. The overnight, I think the overnight margin is $1,500 per contract on ES. So if you've got 3 contracts you want to hold overnight, you need to have 5k in your account just to hold those contracts overnight. If that thing gaps, your broker's going to be on the phone in the morning with a margin call. So like here's a prime example. Yeah, if you were holding 5 futures contracts long there on Friday night, Monday morning your broker would be phoning you up saying, have you got 125k? Because if you haven't, we're going to be sending you a load of lean hogs or whatever the futures contract you have bought. We're going to be sending you them because they're going to arrive at the exchange. Because when you enter into a futures contract for lean hogs, oil or whatever, so one futures contract on oil, for example, you're in control of 10,000 barrels of crude. You are saying, I am buying 10,000 barrels of crude, one contract, right now for delivery in, at the moment we're trading the September contracts. So in September, if you were holding that contract and you didn't close that contract out in September, 10,000 barrels of crude would turn up at the exchange for you. Because you're trading, this is the futures market. This is what it was invented for, originally for agriculture, so that corn and crop growers could fix a price for their product. They would say, I'm going to buy corn now, or sell corn now at this price, and someone else would say, I will buy that from you in September when your crop is due. That's what futures contracts are. They amalgamated and changed and evolved over the years, but at the end of the day, you are literally buying this. The buying power you need to buy it is quite immense. You gap down, that broker is going to be after you for the leverage, for the money. So you've got to have all that money in your account. So you cannot trade intraday either. It's in and out. By the end of the day, can't hold overnight. And you wouldn't want to. You just wouldn't want to do it either. You know, that seems like a small thing. In the futures market, that's probably $1,000, $600. Depends how many contracts you've got on. If you've got 5 contracts on there, that's $1,000. $500, something like that. Totally different game. You need to know what you're doing with it. Which is why the futures, they make so much money out of the evaluations, because people don't get futures. They don't realise. You go long on the NAS at the open. Every tick on the NAS is $5. You go long on the NAS at the open. Yeah, it's a big thing. Yeah, that's, I don't know, 3k, 5k on a single contract. You land one of them, you're done for the day. Literally done for the day. Actually, probably not that much. Actually, it's probably about a couple of grand. But if you added one there and added one there, thank you very much. Most people are done for the week. like I said, I've done 4.5k this week. I've had an amazing couple of days, but it can do the opposite as well. You can lose it as fast as you can make it. It's just a different thing. But that's why I don't use my own money. If I go crazy and it all goes completely wrong, I've lost nothing. I've lost $500. You know, I wouldn't put my own money into a futures account. I might do it at some point in the future if I continue to do it, but like I say, it's not my primary focus. This is my bread and butter. US dollar yen. Is that US dollar yen? Sorry, euro yen. I've got an ADR hit. So that's the first ADR hit on the euros. The yen is obviously very strong at the moment, so that's why that one's gone first. We're still coming down, break even now on euro US. We're still coming down on all the euros. Shouldn't run out that one, never mind. Euro is also now in profit. So break even on those two at the moment. I'll keep an eye on those. When we get down to ADRs on them, just be aware you probably start to get pullbacks. As US dollar yen is pulling back now. I've got loads of room on the other euros though. Not so much on the CAD. Euro odd, we've got loads of room on. Right, so that's it for today. Sorry, gone on for another 20 minutes. I keep waffling, don't I? If you need anything, I'll be in the Telegram group. I'll just be managing these today. I'm not entering anything new today. I should be adding into these as necessary, if necessary. But I've banked the profit for the day, so I'm just going to manage what I've got at the moment. I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:50. News-wise, this afternoon, you need to be aware of unemployment claims on the US pre-market at 1:30. We've got the PMIs 15 minutes after market open. So if you're trading indices this afternoon, be aware that we'll probably have a slow open while we're waiting for news, and then it will kick in. And then we've got Powell just after it's kicked in to upset the apple cart. So volatile afternoon ahead on the indices if you're trading those. And then tomorrow morning before I come on, we've got retail for the pound. We're expecting big drop on that. We don't do well with retail figures, as you can see. A lot of the time, 50% of the time, they are worse than expected. This is month on month as well. Thing you need to bear in mind with the retail figures this month, which is why they're forecast to be quite so low, is the price cap changed in April on fuels. So all of our fuel bills in the UK went up in April. Everybody's belts got squeezed in April, so spending is very likely going to be down. So retail sales are very likely to be down. If we get anything worse than negative 0.6, I think we're going to see quite a big reaction on the pound tomorrow morning. Although this is on Orange News, it could still be quite a lot worse than expected. So be aware of that tomorrow morning. If you're on any pounds, like my pound odd, if the odd hasn't powered up over the Asian session, I'll be looking to get out of the pound odd tomorrow, hopefully, on negative figures there. And then we've got IFO, which does nothing. And low speaking tomorrow afternoon, which is not really going to do much, I wouldn't imagine, either. So that's it, news-wise. Nothing else to worry about apart from retail sales tomorrow and obviously the PMIs this afternoon. So keep an eye on the figures for those. Right, that's it. I'll be in the Telegram group if you need me. Otherwise, we'll be back at 7:50 tomorrow morning. And yeah, hopefully have a good day. I'll speak to you then.